doing today is just as the title suggests. I'm going to be speaking very softly, and I'm going to read a little bit. So, there's an app called Tellonym, and there are other apps similar to it, but basically you can ask people anonymous questions, and they can choose to answer them. So it is very quiet right now. So I have to be very quiet right now, which is fine because that's the point of the stream anyway. That's why I'm whispering. Okay. It is also storming outside. So if you hear thunder or raining, hold on. Sorry about that. My sister came home and she was talking outside. I wasn't sure if she was talking to me, and I wanted to make sure that I hadn't been disturbing her. So anyway, hopefully you guys can't hear that, but it sounds like she's in her room having a loud phone conversation, which is about par for the course when I decide that I'm going to make something that's quiet. Okay, so there's an app called Tellonym, and you can ask people anonymous questions. I have an account with Tellonym, and it's actually not under Deadly Eddie, which most of my other social media is under, but it does use the same profile picture as everything. It's under Sajirin, Sagirien, and you can find me on there. There should also be a link directly to Tellonym through my link in bio on whatever platform you're watching me on. Okay, now what I intend to do, I think that's my chair squeaking, I'm not sure. It almost sounds like there's extra, like there's echoes and stuff I don't understand. Or maybe that's me breathing and I'm getting paranoid. Anyway, So, what I'm gonna do is, I definitely don't think I'm going to read every single tell that I've received. Some of them are too boring, some of them are repetitive, some of them are inappropriate. I also have 1,415 tells that I've answered. It looks like I have a couple more tells that are waiting to be answered, so I'll start with those first. So, the first one I have here is, are you currently in a relationship? And the answer to that is yes, I am in a relationship. And I'm not going to go into too much detail. That doesn't mean that I won't at all during the video or during the stream, but that wasn't part of the question. So, yes, I am in a relationship. The next one is, hey, what friends do you think are right for you? I'm not entirely sure how to answer this one. So I'm gonna say a couple of different answers for this one, and I'll save it to actually answer um, through the platform later. But um, so I think that the type of friends that actually want to spend time with you because they enjoy your company, the type of friends that don't necessarily need anything from you, but also wouldn't be too proud to ask for help if there was something they knew you could actually help them with. I like to think that my friends are the kind of people that come to me for advice, even if um, even if maybe I'm not necessarily suited to that advice, because they like to get my opinion. And honestly, I feel like if any of the people sending tells know me personally, they probably do value my opinion a little bit. Unfortunately, not enough to ask me directly, but they would still ask me advice, and I appreciate that. I think I lost my train of thought too. You're gonna notice that a lot. That I don't necessarily um, speak that coherently. So it's a good thing that I've already answered most of these tells. So let's read some more. 5 hours ago, someone you misjudged at first. And I answered quite a few people. It's hard to pinpoint a specific person to be thinking about because of the fact that I do find myself often passing judgment on people before I actually know them. And while, to some degree or another, some baseline assumptions do tend to be correct, they're not always correct. And even if I get certain behaviors right, the reasoning behind them I get wrong. And so, like, you could end up mislabeling someone as a bad person when they're just a misguided person who had a bad experience. That sort of thing. 5 hours ago, chocolate or vanilla? I said chocolate, but I'm going to expand on this. I love sweets. I love sweets too much for my own good, but I do. I love sweets, and chocolate is a favorite. It's got a soft spot in my heart, and chocolate brings me a lot of joy. I do understand that there are times when vanilla is better suited as a pairing with other things, and there are even times when I'm a little bit chocolated out, and I just rather have vanilla. But for the most part, chocolate. 5 hours ago, you've changed completely. This is not a question; it's just a statement. I, uh, I. This suggests that this is someone that knows me personally or has met me before. Not necessarily someone close to me, but someone that's like able to observe my views and behaviors. And so this does suggest that this is someone that I actually know and not a stranger, because you wouldn't really be able to tell that, would you? Um, so I just asked good or bad, and I haven't gotten a response to that yet. 5 hours ago, how do you feel about being single for a long time? I have been single before. It's not so bad, but it is a little lonely sometimes. And I do find that, when I'm single, I wish that I had a partner. And then when I have a partner, sometimes I wish I was single, though not nearly as often. And it's more like, oh, I could do whatever I wanted, go wherever I wanted, and I never had to ask anybody or worry about anybody else. It's just kind of a selfish thing. I'm sure if I had a long-lasting relationship, I would get over that. 9 days ago, what was your worst experience on a date with someone you met online? Now this is going to, I'm going to read what it says, but I'll expand on it because I believe I gave two stories here. So, the first one, I said it's a tie between the guy that wanted to meet in a remote location, then agreed to a busy place, drove an hour to meet him, and he just ghosted, didn't even cancel or say why. So, a little backstory. I was probably 19, maybe 20. I could have been 21 at this time, but I don't think so. Um, I was very recently an adult, and I had spent most of my teen years dating long distance. And so I had never really been on a date, and a lot of the physical aspects, and I'm not just talking about sex, that come along with relationships had been lacking. No hugs or just seeing people face to face and things like that. So I was using a dating app to try to help me meet people in my area. And looking back now, I wouldn't have even spoken to someone who had one profile picture, no occupation, no last name, no bio. Like, there's not enough information. I don't trust that person. But um, at the time, I was very trusting, and I hadn't really used the dating app before. And again, I hadn't been on a physical date before. Um, so I was talking to him, and we set up a date time, and then we were trying to agree on a place to go. And he kept like insisting that we meet at this park, and it's not super far away from my house, but it is far enough away that you would have to be driving on the highway for 30 minutes to get there. And I'm not super familiar with this particular area. At the time, I've been in that area since then, but at the time, I'm not very um, familiar with this area, so I wouldn't have my bearing if something happened to me. Um, Also, it's February, so it's cold outside, and while technically you can still get into a lot of the parks during the off season, they're closed. So there's also no park services and no personnel that would be coming by to do work or general sweeps of the place. So, very, very dangerous situation there. Now, I did not agree to meet him here. I did see a red flag with that, and I kept pushing back until I got him to agree to meet me, excuse me, to meet me at an arcade that was near the park. Because I figured he wanted to meet there at the park because he said that he didn't have a car. So, the arcade near the park. Um, it gets to be the day of the date. Um, I wait several hours after I wake up before I say anything because I don't know if he's even awake or if he's like at work or something, and I didn't want to bother him. But then it was about halfway through the day, like in the early afternoon, I messaged him to see how he was, and he didn't respond. And then I messaged him to make sure we were still on for the night, and he didn't respond, and the night wore on, and I still didn't get a response, and eventually I decided to go ahead and go on the date, even though I didn't have confirmation that he was going to be there. But I didn't want to ghost him, so I drove all the way there and parked, and he didn't say anything to me about not wanting to go until I was already there waiting to meet up with him. So then I had to drive all the way back home, and I was sad as hell, and that was like my very first experience trying to meet someone from the dating app. And honestly, I probably should have taken that as a hint, but I have continued to try to use the dating apps to this day. um so the second one, I went to meet someone who insisted I see them right after I got off of my third shift job. Spent the whole time talking about their ex and their smut writing career. Kept pressuring me to go home with them. Kissed me by enveloping my whole mouth with their mouth. And when I refused to go home with them, they called me a few hours before our next date to say they'd slept with someone else, and for that reason they liked her better. There's not a lot I could expand on this except the fact that this person also talked a lot about how much they preferred the company of men, which no shade, but I am AFAB, and so I don't think that they would have enjoyed me so much as they enjoy the company of men. They also apparently at that point in time still lived in the house that their ex-fiance's father owned. And their smut writing career obviously wasn't making any money, so their job was running a drive-through. And I don't know, it depends on where you're from, but the drive-through Um, excuse me, a drive-through in Ohio is like a convenience store, but you drive like into the building and then someone serves you at your car. Um, some of the stuff is visible from the car that you can order, but that's not usually all of it. You know, obviously restricted items are in a separate area that only they can access. But so that's what he did for a living, was work at a drive-through. And again, people, you know, if those kinds of places are going to be open, people need to be doing that job. But eh, I was I was doing something that made a lot more money and required a lot less or about the same amount of education and skills. So I don't know. Next, 9 days ago, I'm super pissed right now. Do you think revenge is worth it? And I responded, the fuck you mean? Because, like, I understand that I understand what they said, like, they're mad and they're considering revenge, but I don't know the full context of this, so I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And they didn't elaborate. 9 days ago, how would you handle it if you saw someone not taking no for an answer and kept bothering them? I would have spoken up before, and also people speaking up on my. Sorry, I can't fucking read. I would and have spoken up before, and also had people speaking up on my behalf as well. I hope to do a better job than I have in the past, because it did lead to further issues before it got better. 15 days ago. What do you think about people who spill secrets you told them in confidence? For the most part, secrets should stay secret. Then they followed up. So this was 9 days ago. Why do you think people spilled them, though? I think some people love to gossip. It makes them feel in control. And so, when you give them something to gossip about, they start using it. It's like social currency. 15 days ago. Tell me something that really annoyed you today. Having to leave the house for something so dumb. I can't remember what I left the house for 15 days ago, so. Ah, 15 days ago. How about we see each other soon? And I said, depends who you are, Anon. So, again, telling him you can ask people questions completely anonymously. Now, there is a feature where you can ask questions um, not anonymously. You can register an account, and then if you mark not anonymous, then it would show your username. Um, I don't think very many people use that feature. if any at all. Now, they do advertise premium, which gives you a check mark, and it also gives you hints, so you can try to guess who sent what. But the hints are often extremely vague and not helpful at all. It never ever tells you outright who sent it, because it can't if they didn't put in any information for the app to track. 15 days ago. Let's say you got famous overnight. What would you do? And I said, be so fucking confused. 15 days ago. Any advice for feeling insecure about acne scars? And my answer was, number one, don't worry about it. Nobody worth a damn is worried about your acne scars. Number two, products like Bio Oil or Miracle Oil are great at fading scars, but read the ingredients carefully. Since they're made of essential oils, they can trigger allergic reactions. And since it's going on your face, do a test spot first. Also, I'm not a dermatologist, so you should consult with them if you can. What do you think about people who can't keep secrets? It's a little annoying. Don't tell them things. 16 days ago. I don't think cheating is always a reason to end things. Would you still date me? I think if you're not capable of staying monogamous, you shouldn't enter monogamous relationships. 16 days ago. What do you think about people who judge others for eating meat? I think as long as they aren't harming themselves by over or under eating, or using unsafe storage and preparation practices, you can't judge their food choices. "19 days ago. Good Netflix series?" I asked for a clarification. Netflix exclusive or just on Netflix? And I got no response. 19 days ago. Any reason why you're single? And I responded, who said I was single? 19 days ago. What do you have in your pocket at the moment? I don't have pockets right now. I think I was wearing a specific dress, because some of my dresses have pockets and some of them don't. 19 days ago. I always feel better after talking to you, thank you. And I responded, you're welcome. I don't know who this is, it's anonymous. 21 days ago. How would being a virgin over 20 affect your dating life? I don't know. I don't want to date a virgin myself, some people are obsessed with virgins, so I guess it would make it difficult. 21 days ago. Write your pre-summer stats. Age, school/work, piercings, tattoos, relationship status, crush, happy. Okay. And I responded, that's a lot of information you could get if you followed my socials. I'm going to answer some of those. I'm 28. I'm not going to tell you where I work. I have double earlobe piercings. I used to have a nasal septum as well, but I had to take it out a while ago. I only have one tattoo. It's actually, well, it's a lot cleaner than the one that's on my shirt, but it's similar to the one that's on my shirt, on my avatar. I drew it on there, so that's what my tattoo is. Relationship status. I am in a relationship. It's not a monogamous relationship, but it is a relationship. I'm not telling you my crush, and feelings change often, so I'm not gonna assign one either. 21 days ago. Would love to be your friend. And I responded, that's nice. Add me or something. I don't believe anyone new ever did. 21 days ago. How old are you? 28. I already answered that. 25 days ago. Do you think all kids should try soccer? Why? And I answered, no. So as for why, I didn't answer why on here, but as for why, I know that soccer can be, like any other sport, it can be expensive. Obviously, you have to pay for things to play a sport in most cases. And, if the kid's not interested in soccer, trying to force them to do it is gonna not be beneficial and also cost you money and not be worth it. So, 25 days ago. What's on your travel bucket list that you haven't done yet? Most places. I've only been to a couple of states, and there's a whole world out there. So what states have I been to? I live in Ohio, so I've been to Ohio, obviously. I've been to Kentucky, but only a very small part of it. Tennessee a couple of times. Pennsylvania, Indiana, California. I don't think I can claim Colorado or Texas because I was just in the airport. So yeah, that's it. Those are all the states I've been to. So I definitely want to see all of them. And I definitely have places outside of the United States I want to visit too. 25 days ago. Do you have someone in your sights at the moment? And I answered, probably. I'm not going to give away names or clues or anything. You're just going to have to suffer. Anyway, 25 days ago. Which apps do you use to make your day easier? Tasks, a calendar, notes, and the built-in well-being settings that allows me to limit app time and certain kinds of notifications throughout the day. Pretty self-explanatory. How do you feel about your home decor? That's a good question. I don't have total control over the decor because it's not only my house. In fact, I don't own the house, my parents do. One month ago. I think I'm in love. How do I tell them? Well, the best way to do that is to just come out and say it. Don't wait or you'll regret it. A month ago, I honestly value you very much. I don't know who this is, but it's very sweet. So I said thank you. Any thoughts on dating a friend's ex? And I just said, oof, horrible idea. Now, I have done this once or twice before, but also I was a kid. Like, I don't think I was even in high school both times. So, I would never do this as an adult because I have experience with the fallout of it. It's very awkward, and you've had a front row seat to see what the person's red flags are. So, it's funny if you find yourself surprised when they do exactly what you know they're gonna do based on how they acted when they were dating your friend. Ooh, here's a longer one. Have you ever thought that maybe women don't work as hard as men? And that's why there's a pay gap. Alright, there's a lot to answer on here, but I'll try. The overall wage gap between the sexes is more skewed because men are more likely to work really dangerous jobs which pay much more money. But there are still companies that try to get away with paying women less for the same work. But of course, companies try to pay as little as possible to everyone if they can help it. They may hire new people at $5 more than they hired you, knowing they likely won't work there for too long, and still be paying $6 below average for the position. This is why they try to discourage people from discussing salary. Also, being at each other's throats about pay works in their favor. Remember who's actually paying you and direct your attention accordingly.